You ready for more of this shit? This is gonna get worse as it goes on.
Rendering a light source has absolutely nothing to do with animating a three-dimensional model. One is a simple sequence of numbers put into a light rendering engine in order to...
I don't agree with the statement. What they were saying was, you know what? Let's rewind. Let's not do that.
Detail. It makes us wonder, why can't natural cloud movements as the latest feature? Website Platinum Games, you can actually find several posts written by her where she quite meticulously details the aesthetic choices that she made whilst designing Bayonetta as a character.
Actually, I'm glad I went back that far. You brought up the fact that a female designed Bayonetta and said all of her specific reasons for designing Bayonetta. There is no reason why women couldn't also want to buy a video game because there's sexy women on it or in it. Chicks can like chicks too. So the people pointing out that these things are geared towards men, that's the really sexist part. But to say that they're not geared in a way to titillate or to excite people is true, or can be the intention in some cases. You know, people have different opinions, but that wasn't why I rewound it. It was over this next thing that he's going to reply to.
Some game studios boast their hyper-realistic lighting techniques, touting natural cloud movements as the latest features of their games. Bulimia.com wrote in a post on its website, and with that kind of attention to detail, it makes us wonder, why can't they accurately portray the female body? Well, the simple answer is apples and oranges.
Not really. Apples and oranges. Unless they're apples and oranges in the same video game. Yeah. They're basically saying that you're putting huge amount of detail into your lighting, your clouds, your entire video game, but they want to see a realistic looking female character instead of an unbelievable standard. Yeah, that's pretty much all they were saying. You know, it's not like video game... Like I said, it's because of the standard. They're putting that much quality into other aspects of the game. People also want to see quality put into the realism of the game. That doesn't mean that because a character is skinny, they're unrealistic.
Rendering a light source has absolutely nothing to do with animating a three-dimensional model. One is a simple...
They are made for the same fucking video game. Of course it has something to do with animating a three-dimensional model.
Sequence of numbers put into a light rendering engine in order to affect changes within an environment. The other is the creation of a mesh for a model, the creation of a skeleton for that model, and then the envelopment of that mesh to that skeleton. It's a very difficult process to explain to people who have not actually had to do it, but there is an excellent...
You don't make video games, so don't talk shit about video games.
Video here on YouTube by Francis Schmidt, who explains the basics of enveloping a rig to a model within Softimage XSI. And I'm also including a link to another video by Chris Maynard, who takes you through the same program, Softimage, formerly known as XSI, talking about lighting and rendering passes. And when you watch both of these videos, you will notice just how incredibly different these two processes are, and why trying to compare one to the other is laughable. But here's a quick snippet from each, which I think both highlight suitably just how different these processes are.
This is what's supposed to control my rig, just that white stuff, nothing else. So when I select that, I get all the right stuff that I need.
They are showing the creation of a video game, I'm sorry.
My character now.
Like the wireframing of a character.
So when I want to attach it all, attach this geometry to that rig, I select the rig, like I did right there. I go under the animate bar to envelope, set envelope. I'm going to hit yes to this. You just always hit yes to this.
Holy fuck, this is boring,
and then
man.
I pick what is going to control what. I click the envelope group. And if you look on the bottom, it will say the right mouse button ends the picking. I'm going to click my right mouse button. And that is the assignment. What's happened is
I want to fast forward through this, but it's part of the video.
And then the points are controlled by the color. Now, in this case, I'm defaulting to two skeletal objects, meaning if I have a point right here on my arm, for example, it would be controlled by the bone over here.
The audio on it is brutal.
And the
Fuck!
bone over here, which in this case is blue.
With the basics covered, we'll learn about all the different types of lights in self-image and what are their counterparts in the real world, so we can make conscious decisions in our process. We'll also learn about lights.
They're showing lighting being used on a 3D model, so yeah, lighting does have something to do with the 3D model, but I don't know why he's showing so much fucking detail. This is ridiculous. Who cares? Yes, video games are complicated. You think the person who criticized sexism in video games is going to watch this and be like, oh, that's how video games are made, therefore I don't have any criticisms.
Optimize our rendering workflow. To finish it off, we investigate both render channels and render passes, two different and powerful ways of sending extra information to
it's how video games are made.
Optimizing our work.
We're talking about the art in the video games.
Built-in compositor, also known as the effects tree.
Oh my god!
Previewing our passes.
So yeah, apples and oranges comparison. As for why
Fuck you! Fuck you!
they are difficult to animate, well, it's simply a matter of technological limitation. Why did the first humans animated by Pixar suck compared to the animation now? Why did they not feature animated hair, whereas animated hair is quite frequent in films now? And the answer is technological limitation. The programs that they were using simply did not have that function built into them at the time because it was not something that was needed. It was not something that was even considered to have been needed. It's like saying that why did early television broadcasts not have transparent overlays on top of the moving background images?
No, it is not a fucking comparison. That is not a good comparison. They're saying we want to see realistic characters in video games because you're making clouds and fucking lighting and everything look realistic, okay? They're not saying, oh, why doesn't, I can't even make a fucking comparison to that! That is not the same thing as saying they don't have the technology to equally represent women? Is that what he's trying to say? That they don't have the technology to show a realistic woman? Is that honestly what he's fucking trying to say right now? That to make a fat girl is beyond technology these days? Okay, the video's running out again, so I gotta go into another part, but fuck, it's gonna get worse.